Hello, everyone. My name is Amy Wiegand, and I am the lucky lady who gets to host Women Drone Responders interview series. We'll be bringing this interview series to you periodically throughout the months ahead, and we look forward today to talking with Megan Descalzi. She is with the Baltimore Police Department, and she has been with them for 6 years. She oversees 10 team members. And Megan, thank you for joining us today. We think this is super important to have you here. Our mission at Drone Responders is to help train, educate, and create awareness. Women Drone Responders is mimicking that, and hopefully our vision is to become the strongest public safety alliance for women in the industry. Tell us a little bit more about you, about your career path, why your title on LinkedIn says Forensic Scientist 2, but you're also the UAS coordinator.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I love sharing my story, not only to help out other people in the drone community, but also particularly women and girls. Um, so I think my story is definitely a little bit unique within the drone community because I am a civilian drone pilot that's also a forensic scientist. So my undergraduate degree is in biology. I was pre-med, thought I was going to go to medical school. And when it came time to make that really big decision, I wasn't 100% sure. So I went back to something that I had been really interested in, which was forensic science. I think we live in a world of forensic science right now where there's crime shows galore on TV. I had been obsessed with them growing up. So that's where I decided to start pursuing a career in that field. I went and got my master's in forensic science from the University of New Haven when I graduated from undergrad. And that is kind of where drones entered my life and what set me on a career path. I fully went into this thinking that I was going to be a biologist and come out on the other side going into the lab, and I couldn't have been more wrong. I ended up getting hired in Baltimore City as a crime scene technician, which is what I've been doing for 6 years. So I go out to crime scenes where I document crime scenes and I collect, process, and preserve evidence from them. And we do everything from burglaries to shootings and homicides. So we're very busy here, and I absolutely love what I do on the crime scene side. But that also kind of translated eventually into drones, and I got to bring that into the equation, which is why I wear many hats, both on the forensic side and on the drone side.
Very good. So how did drones come into the police department? How was that initiated, and how did you get involved in that from the crime scene side?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, drones really came into my life in graduate school completely random. I went in, and part of the requirements of my degree were to complete a thesis. So I had to complete a thesis from the moment I walked in the door to the moment I left, doing research and then ultimately defending it. So again, I thought I was going to get a lab research project, and I was paired with a field scientist. So that means that I was out in the field, getting my hands dirty, doing research field related. And he gave me an amazing opportunity and an amazing chance of a project, which was actually using a thermal drone to see if we could detect maggot masses on decomposing carcasses in an effort to evaluate a new search and recovery technique for people who are missing but are deceased. And just kind of the premise of that, because I know a lot of people are probably like, what the heck does that mean? So we know that when somebody dies, their body temperature will no longer be hot, right? It becomes one with the environment. And so if somebody is missing, you can no longer use thermal search techniques to try to find them. It becomes a lot more difficult. But we also know that when somebody passes away, flies are very interested in them. They lay eggs. Those eggs become maggots, and it's well reported within the literature that maggots will not only mass, but they'll produce a significant amount of heat, sometimes 30 degrees above ambient temperature. So what was really cool about this project was that it was actually in collaboration with the University of Western Australia. They did it with a helicopter and had success. So we were looking at it as, can we bring this down to a cheaper, more affordable level with drones? So I have 2 photos that I just wanted to show you from it, just to show you how
Good.
the products are, and what we did. So on the right is obviously me flying a drone. This was in the very early stages. This was in 2018,
Okay.
so a little bit ago. And on the left is a picture from my research. And so if you see the very hot spot in the middle, that's actually a coyote carcass that's laying on the ground with maggot masses on it. And you can see that it's very red, it's hot. So it means that we can detect that using a thermal drone. So it was a very successful project. I thought it was very cool. I thought it was very useful. We determined that this is absolutely something that you can do with drones and should be thought about when it comes to public safety and law enforcement. But in all honesty, when I left grad school, I thought that this was it with drones, right? Like
Okay.
I didn't seek out drones. I wasn't like, let me continue to do this. I was really proud of what I had done, and I saw the usefulness of drones, but it wasn't. I was like, I came here to get a forensics degree. I'm
Sure.
going to go do that.
Right.
So I got hired in Baltimore, and within the first year, about 6 months into getting hired, they were like, well, we want to see about getting drones and implementing them into crime scene. I was brand new, but I was like, I know a little bit about drones. I can probably help you with that. And it just exacerbated into this really big project. And in the beginning, I thought drones were cool and I thought they could be really useful, but I had no idea how useful they could be until
Sure.
I got more into the field. And I'm not even just saying law enforcement in general. I mean, within the realm of crime scene, it's incredibly useful, and no one really understands that.
Right.
So that's really how I got started. It's a really cool story that I love to share, just because it's so unique. And my ultimate goal one day is to hopefully find somebody using that method that I researched in the beginning, because it's so useful. And not many people really understand that concept. So that's going to be like the ultimate full circle moment for me, is being able to
Sure.
apply that in a search and rescue
Yeah,
mission.
you should publish it. Maybe you put it out there to the universe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So with that graduate degree project, you were kind of you flew into drones, no pun
Yes.
intended, but so you really didn't, you just kind of stumbled on it by happenstance because of this
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Complete happenstance.
then you come into your full-time career and they present you with the opportunity to become a drone pilot. Talk about how you became a drone pilot. Obviously, we're Training Education and Awareness Alliance here. Help folks understand who may not be as familiar with what we do, how you started and how you excelled, and became a leader of 10 members on the police department.
Yeah, so I think the most important aspect of becoming a drone pilot for public safety and law enforcement is obviously, number one, becoming a certified Part 107 remote pilot. So I've had my certification since 2022. So that was number one, right? Legally doing this, understanding the rules and regulations and the severity of what we do, which is putting an aircraft above people and in the vicinity of other aircraft. So we need to be really careful about that. And with that comes a lot of hands-on training. So it's very much a skill. It's very much something that you have to continually do over and over again, which is why, we have a lot of requirements for monthly training, just making sure that even if it's just a battery or 2 batteries worth, we're consistently working that side of our brain with a hands-on skill. So physically learning how to fly it was the most important thing when it came to becoming a pilot for law enforcement and public safety. And so that's kind of where I actually dived even more into the drone community.
Mhm.
Here in Baltimore, I like to say that for many years I was fighting the good fight of trying to implement drone technology.
Okay.
And on the other side of that, I really had to, while we were working on the logistical side and getting permission to fly, I wanted to develop my skill. And so that led me to George Mason University's police department in Fairfax, Virginia. I came across them just through networking, and they gave me quite literally the chance of a lifetime. I met them, and 2 weeks later, they were like, "Do you want to come fly with us?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, please." Like, that
Yeah.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
So they're really the ones that gave me the opportunity to get
Okay.
my feet wet for the first time within the law enforcement and public safety community before I even got a chance to do it in Baltimore. So with George Mason, they have allowed me to do so many things, from learning from some of the most skilled pilots I've ever met to training on a variety of different drone platforms and for a variety of different missions.
Sure.
So it was really about kind of getting involved in the community, getting my hands on the drones, and learning as much as I could by doing it hands-on.
Hands-on, right. So that's so important. So you say George Mason gave you that edge. Can you speak specifically to use cases? What did you do at George Mason that you felt helped you be more of a success as you excelled in this career?
Yeah, I mean, the amazing thing was that I really went into this with very limited knowledge. All I had was from
Okay,
grad school, and in 2018, I think we all know how far technology has come since 2018.
true.
It really wasn't where it is now, and so then I just kind of like knew the bare basics. But with George Mason, like I said, the variety of drone platforms, but the missions have been what have truly shaped my career here in Baltimore, because without them, I would never have been able to do what I do now. So with George Mason, I've done things like I've flown Overwatch for some really big events,
Yeah.
including the Marine Corps Marathon, the Army 10 miler, and even the inauguration this past year in Arlington, Virginia.
Okay.
Really, I would like to say it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, but I've done it a few times, so it's
Okay.
not. But
Right.
it's really, I mean, for a drone pilot, it's a very unique opportunity to fly in the most restricted airspace in the world on arguably, with the inauguration, probably the most restricted day, and
Hmm.
doing so all legally, all within the realm of FAA certification, FAA regulations. So it's very, very unique. And on top of that, not only are we flying in the flight restricted zone in DC, but for a majority of the times that I've been flying, I've been taking off on a rooftop right next to DCA Airport.
Wow.
You see the planes pass by. So it's really incredible. And I do actually have some photos from that to show you.
Great.
So this one's here. The two photos on the right are actually from George Mason. So kind of going back into the training, the one on the right was the first time I had flown a Nevada, an FPV drone.
Okay.
So that was from that training. We were actually flying inside of a house, which was really cool, getting like very realistic training. The one in the middle was from a mission that I did with them up in Page County, Virginia. Also a unique opportunity flying in like where there's not a lot of anything, including cell service. So it was
Okay.
really unique opportunity. But here are the ones from, oh, I apologize. This is the one from the, where we take off for Marine Corps Marathon, Army 10 miler inauguration. So you can see the photo in the middle is a drone right next to DCA Airport with an airplane taking off in the back. So, I mean, the coordination to be able to do this, both with the FAA, but with numerous different agencies coming together, was
Yes.
so unique and so incredible to be a part of. The one
Sure.
on the right I put up to show you that it's not all glamorous. This was the inauguration. It was about 20 degrees outside, and we were out there all day. So as what you can see in this, in the right hand side very briefly, is actually just like a heater blowing at me while I'm flying the drone.
Sure.
So very, very unique opportunities that allowed me to integrate this technology into Baltimore confidently, right? If I can fly in the most restricted airspace comfortably and provide overwatch for large scale events, I can learn how to fly drones in Baltimore for crime scenes and other large scale events. So in Baltimore, I have flown, we have deployed for one major event that many people are familiar with, which is the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse. Unfortunately, it did happen, but fortunately, we did have this technology at the time to be able to bring out there, which was incredible because for years I had been pointing to some other really big events that had happened in Baltimore, including a gas explosion
Okay.
that destroyed 3 townhomes and unfortunately killed 2 people. And I had been pointing to that for years, being like, if only we had had drones, if only we had had drones. And the bridge collapse happened and we had them and we were able to deploy them and we were able to provide photographs to the people who needed to make decisions. And it was very special to be a part of.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think what people would be most surprised to hear me say are kind of the missions that mean the most to me are the crime scenes, because they're the ones that I have worked the hardest for. And, we get a lot of them. We fly a lot of them. But there's been lots of photos that have brought tears to my eyes because we're just
Sure.
able to capture images of crime scenes that we never would have been able to before. And it makes all of the hard work worth it.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Good. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. Let's talk a little bit more about the crime scenes and the data that's captured and how you use that as much as you can tell us.
Yeah.
But moreover, talk to me about your team. Talk to me about your role as a leader, how you built your team, and then how you came together to use this data to make a difference.
Yeah, so it's definitely, as many people know in this industry, because it's so new, it's difficult building it from the ground up, and
Yep.
that's really what I had to do is start from a blank piece of paper.
Okay.
And so I am now the program coordinator of our drone program within the crime scene unit. So I am responsible for quite literally everything, from equipment to maintenance to performance checking them, making sure everybody has their training, reading reports, and then also expanding everything at the same time. So we have a team of 11, including myself, all women drone pilots within the crime scene unit.
Right.
And what's really special about this group is that, like me, none of them wanted to be in the drone community prior to this, right? They all have their degrees in forensic science or some sort of science degree, are processing crime scenes every day. And they're the ones that put in the time and the effort to become drone pilots. So they started from no knowledge, and I worked their knowledge up to being able to now deploy it on crime scenes quite successfully. So it's very special to be a part of. And I think out of everything I've done, the training has been what I'm most proud of, because to see them go from not even knowing what a drone is to being able to complete NIST tests and document mock crime scenes to actual crime scenes is extremely, extremely rewarding.
Sure.
So, what we do is we deploy this technology from as simple as it can be to as complex as it can be.
Mhm.
We can capture aerial photographs of our crime scenes, which is a very unique perspective to be able to show investigators to bring into a court of law. Aerial documentation historically used to be done in crime scene with helicopters, for example.
Right.
But that kind of went away because it was expensive, and now we have
Yeah.
satellite images, and it's just easier to do that. So this allows us to capture an image that's true and accurate to our scene within a matter of minutes. Um, but that's only scratching the surface. We can also utilize this technology to create 2D maps and 3D models of our scenes. So
Okay.
instead of hand-drawn sketches that we do, which is literally drawing your crime scene, measuring it, and it can take quite a long time, especially if you're not an artist like me. It can take just minutes with a drone, and you can create
Right.
a better product that's just as accurate, if not more accurate.
Mhm.
And you can bring that to a court, which is a game changer for a jury. So that's where we're dabbling right now, is integrating mapping and modeling. And then finally, if you're a crime scene unit that utilizes 3D scanners, you can implement 3D scanners with drone technology to make it even more efficient while maintaining accuracy and precision of detail. So there's so many things that we can do just within the crime scene world itself, that not many people realize.
Right. Wow. Okay. That is a lot. I love that. I could talk to you about this all day. The specifics, like how you use the data. That's super cool. Maybe we'll do an add-on
Yeah,
at
yeah,
some point, Megan. But as someone who ran a general aviation flight school, standardization is super important to me, and it's important to a lot of people. How have you managed to standardize your program so that everybody coming in is on the same page and aligned for safety?
yeah. That's a great question, and one that we are also unique in that we're an accredited lab.
Okay.
So there are many things that we have to do for the lab side that falls really nicely into the drone side. So, for example, like we have to have SOPs, standard operating procedures, and technical manuals and training manuals. So before anybody could pick up a drone, all of this was standardized through writing. So now everybody comes in, they're going to get the same training. They have to complete certain requirements. They get the same procedures. They're all doing the same thing. In addition to that, we also have to basically validate anything that we use. So in order to put a drone up to take pictures, I wrote a 20-page paper that we can actually take pictures with this, and it creates amazing photographs that we can utilize in court. So that's one of the beautiful things about accreditation, is that it really gets us to a point where I think the FAA wants all programs, is that you're documenting really well, you have your procedures down, and if anything were to happen, we have everything right there to give them, because we need to do it for drones, but we have to do it for accreditation. So that was the very beginning, before anyone picked up a drone and started flying on scenes, was just standardizing the whole process.
Absolutely, 100%. I'm glad to hear that. Now, tell me a little bit more about that success. Build upon the successes is what I mean in your unit. You've obviously done a good job with standardization. What other things have you done to be successful? What has made your team successful in building this program?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that has made us successful is also one of probably the biggest challenge I have faced in this.
Okay.
Is that fact that we didn't jump right into this. And that was for a reason. And that's because, Baltimore City has a certain history that made us have to slow down, really take this seriously, and show the public that this is what we're using it for, and this is what we're using it for. We're not messing around with you. So we spent 3.5 years really looking at this, really writing the proper policies and procedures, taking our time to train before we deployed, because we needed to make sure that we were doing it properly. So I really think that's what makes us successful. And I think that's why I was able to take pilots who have never touched a drone into very successful pilots on a crime scene that is extremely dynamic in a very busy city. I think if we had jumped right into it, which I don't think other agencies jump into it, right? But they don't have as many hoops to jump through that we had to go through. And so I think people who are putting it up a lot quicker than we were probably have to work through a lot more challenges, where we had a lot of time to sit and think about what we needed to do to get this up and running. So that's where I say that was the biggest challenge, but also what led us to our biggest success.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. So talk to me about your challenges. Talk to me more in the perspective of day-to-day challenges. Maybe, that you could help somebody avoid a pitfall that's watching this today.
Yeah. In the beginning, the biggest challenge was definitely just trying to get all these documents together that people were asking for. I like to make the joke, but it's 100% serious, that, I started this when I was not even a year into my career. I was 25, and I was learning how to be a crime scene technician. But in reality, I was also learning how to be an adult, because I went from undergrad to grad to I'm in the real world now. And at the same time, they were like, all right, well, we need a standard operating procedure of how you're going to use this technology, before I even knew really what this technology was. And that was extremely challenging, because I had all these things going on, and I was like, well, how do I do this? Right. So I think the beginning was really the most challenging. And I actually have a photo that it's kind of a silly photo to share, but I came across it this morning. And it really goes to tell you. So these photos right here are from our very first deployment. I think you can see, not the best photos, but it was November and it was 70 degrees. And I was like, this is the day, it's happening. So that was really exciting. But this photo on the left, I came across this morning, and this was a picture of me. All of what you see in front of me are policies and standard operating procedures from other agencies. And I just had them all printed out, and I was highlighting, and I was going through, and I was like, how do I put this together into ours? Right.
Right.
So that was the very first challenge. I came across it, and I just started laughing, because not only was this difficult in itself, but I was also working as a full-time crime scene technician at night. So this was in the middle of the night, and I was just trying to figure it out while also taking calls on the side. The picture on the right is when we got our drones, our first group of drones. I remember being exhausted in this photograph because I came in early and had to work at night. And it was just like one of the proudest moments to finally have that technology in hand. So just all the hoops in the beginning was definitely a challenge.
Mhm.
Um, kind of was like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through all of this?
Right, right.
And then there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Now I would say it's just, trying to do all of the things. It's trying to expand our uses. As I said, we are accredited, so
Mhm.
it's a lot of work to get something new up and running. So mapping and modeling. So I said photography was 20 pages, mapping and modeling was 60 pages and took me about a year to complete. So
Okay.
every time I want to do something new, I have to really do a lot of research into it and a lot of writing,
Sure.
which is great. There's a
Yeah.
reason for it.
Right.
Um, but then you're balancing that on top of trying to schedule a monthly training when you have people who work both day and night. And then
Mhm.
you have trying to catch up and read all of the reports so that you can upload the photographs for investigators to look at. So it's a lot of things. There's one of me. It's a
Mhm.
lot of things, but then those photos come across my desk where a tear comes to my eye, and I'm like, okay, it's worth it, I guess, in the end.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of days where I
Yeah.
question, but then something really great happens from this technology, and you're like, okay, I get it.
Well, tell us about something really great. Give us a story about a win you've had using drones.
Yeah. So there's one in particular, the first one that brought a tear to my eye. It was so good that I actually ran into the chief's office and I said, you need to come look at this. Like, this
Oh,
is
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, all of my stories are morbid just based off of what I
Mhm.
do. But an individual had jumped from the top of an 18-floor building.
Okay.
So he's on the ground.
Mm.
Um, and we do go and we document those. And so it was the middle of the night. It's dark. And I wasn't even working, which kind of makes it even a more proud moment, is that a drone pilot did this all on their own. She deployed a drone and used it for two reasons. Number one, she was able to estimate the height of the building, or AKA the height of the jump, just based
Mhm.
off of the altitude of the drone. And then she brought the drone up and hovered it where you could see the top of the 18-story building where that individual had jumped from, and then could see him all the way at the bottom, which
Mm.
we can't do with our everyday cameras, right? We
Mhm.
don't have these we have very nice cameras, but to be able to get an image like that in the middle of the night, 18 stories down, is literally impossible with the equipment that we have. So it just brought chills to me because we were able to utilize this technology at night, which a lot of people just kind of assume you can't.
Mhm.
And it was able to capture a photograph that told the story. And
Mhm.
if for some reason that needed to go to court, it would have just been the only photo that we needed to show. So it
Wow.
was just such a powerful photograph, and one that not many people even realize could be beneficial. But we've had a few of those where it's like we couldn't have captured this in any other way if we didn't
Sure.
have this drone. So those
Sure.
are, and they're never anything to write home about. They're not like the Marine Corps Marathon or the inauguration, but those are the ones that actually kind of mean the most to me.
Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah. So you mentioned you're a one-woman show, but you do have a team. And on our pre-call, we talked a little bit about community. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about an event you did this summer with our very own Chuck Moran and Paige Fitzgerald in Dover, Delaware. It was in July. On July 9th, you worked with a team, and it was called Eyes Above the Incident. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about your team and how community has really helped you maintain your love for what you're doing here.
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, the only reason why I am sitting here today in this role with the amount of success that we've had is because of the drone community.
Mhm.
From day one, I have said, from the minute I made my first phone call to an agency being like, I hear you have drones. Can you tell me how you do that? I have said, there's nothing like this community, and I have never been proven wrong. And everything I have done here is, yes, the result of my hard work and determination, but it's because so many agencies, so many people have given me the time, the knowledge, the chance to learn from them. And that really came to light this summer when we had this event in Delaware. So it was I think we had 6 pilots out there of ours in Baltimore, and then we had a handful from Delaware. It's the photo in the top left here. And it was just a really unique opportunity to, one, bring women drone pilots together, which is pretty unusual. We don't often see all women in one place. It's mostly just a few dabbled here and there, but also just to bring different agencies together from different states and to share knowledge, share tips, share training, fly in the same airspace together. That is what this community is about. And that is the only way to be part of this community, is to connect and to network and to do it together. So that is the main reason why we have been successful. And also here, make connections with the Federal Aviation Administration. We went out and we were able to meet the team at the SOSC for emergency waiver approvals. So just making connections where you can. I'm a really big believer in walk through every door.
Right.
And, in the beginning, I picked up the phone and called one agency, and they would give me the number for another agency, who would give me another for another agency. And that's just how that happened. And, Paige Fitzgerald, who's here in this photo and who also did one of these interviews, I can't tell you how many times I'm talking to other people in the community and I'll be like, yeah, I know some people in Delaware, and they'll be like, Paige, and I'll be like, yes, Paige. And it's just it's such a small community.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to be a part of. And it also makes everything worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Networking and community, super important to staying alive, right?
Yes.
And feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself. I think that's super important.
Yes.
And one of the things we want to do is inspire workforce development through these conversations.
Yeah.
And if you were to be in front of a group of young women in middle school or high school, maybe even college or trade school, what would you tell them about the opportunity and how to get involved?
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, there's 2 important messages. Number 1 is you are capable, right? Like, anyone is capable to become a drone pilot. You don't need to have, a certain degree. It's great. Education is great. You should absolutely go and get a higher education, but you don't need a certain degree. You don't need a gun. You don't need, anyone can be great. It takes hard work. It takes training. It takes putting in the time to learn how to be a great drone pilot that makes a great drone pilot. There's really no other qualifications. I think the other important thing to say is if there are no opportunities, make them, right? Like, you have the ability to make your own experience here. So as the older you get, if you want to become involved in this field and you're finding that you're not having any, you have the power to set up those opportunities. And that's how I really look at what I've done here. I had no opportunities to fly drones and I made them. So some ways you can absolutely get involved are if you're in high school and there's a robotics club, that's a great place to start. Learning about robotics, implementing drones into those robotics. There's also robotic teams I know about. Finding any sort of hobbyist group that does drones is really important. Reaching out to people that you know in the community, like on LinkedIn. I get a lot of messages from people just being like, how do you get involved in this? So just seeking out ways to get involved are really important. Sometimes they're not always going to come to you. Sometimes you have to go to them. And I think it's going to take getting outside of your comfort zone. And sometimes that can be really difficult. But if they're not presented to you, you are capable to make them happen for yourself. And I think that's really important because that's not something I really knew when I was younger, is that like I have the power to change what opportunities are available to me. So I think that's really important to know. And on the flip side, it's really important for us in the community to make these opportunities available to young girls and women. So like, for example, one thing I'm doing in the city, or hope to do in the city, is bring a Part 107 class to high school students.
Oh, great.
That way that when they leave high school, if they don't have plans to go to college, or even if they're just really interested in it, it opens one door for them immediately. So I think it's important on both sides for us, both for girls to reach out and see what's available, and then for us to make it available for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is great advice.
Oh, and I have one photo I would like to share.
Oh, good. Go for it.
So kind of going along the lines of, sorry, just waiting for it to be put up. Just going along the lines of like, you are capable. This photo is like one of my favorite ones because I'm a civilian, which means like I'm not an officer.
Okay.
And it's just a drone training. It's not an actual mission, but this was a drone training at George Mason University. There were different SWAT teams that were actually practicing. So they were using this house that's behind the Bearcat, and we were trying to integrate drones into it. And I remember being terrified. Like, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I know I can fly inside, but I don't know if I can do this with like an actual SWAT team. And I worked up the courage to do it. And I not only did well, but afterwards, one of the SWAT guys was like, "Who flew that?" And I raised my hand and he was like, "You did a great job." And then when somebody sent me this photo, I was like, I'm so glad I have this photo because it really kind of encapsulates that whole idea of like, you are capable and you can do anything as a drone pilot, no matter what your background is or what your career might be. You're able to be a drone pilot if you put in the effort. So that's why I really like this photo. And I think it's great for women too, because there's a bunch of men standing around me. So not only am I a civilian, but I am a woman and I was able to do this and I did it really well. And it's something I'm really proud of.
You absolutely 100% should be. I love it. You memorialize this moment in time for all your hard work and efforts. And I love your go get it attitude. Megan Descalzi, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk and learn a little bit more about you and what you do and what keeps you ticking. If you're interested in joining Women Drone Responders, please don't hesitate to log on to droneresponders.org /women drone responders. There is a form there you can submit. It comes to me and I will put you on our mailing list for our meetings and events. We are still a growing group, so we're excited to have you. You're getting in at the right time at the foundational level of this organization's growth, which is really cool. Super exciting times. Also, if you're interested in being a part of the interview series for Women Drone Responders, or you're interested in sponsoring Women Drone Responders interviews, I'd love to talk to you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amy@droneresponders.org. And one more thing, we're going to have our national conference again in March in Williamsburg, Virginia. The 2026 national conference is coming. More information will be on the website soon, so take a look and watch for that. Again, Megan, everybody can reach you on LinkedIn. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Also, don't hesitate to reach out to Drone Responders for more information on how you can start your program if you haven't already, or if you just need help facilitating what's already going. Thank you so much for your time today. We'll see you next time. Thank you.